Hey there. Welcome back to the Imperfect Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Corman. And today we're diving into a topic that's probably interrupting you right now. Distractions. Bing. Okay. I'm being cheap on the sound effects. Oh, was that your phone? No, must have been mine. See what I mean? In this digital age, staying focused is like trying to meditate in the middle of a rock concert. But fear not. Today, we're going to be talking about mastering the art of focus and learning how to minimize those pesky distractions that are stealing our productivity and our sanity. Why do we cover this when we talk about marketing? Well, the reason why is because nobody has enough time to do all the marketing that they need. So if you're more focused, more effective, and more efficient in what you do, then you have more time for marketing. And that's what's key. So let's talk about the distraction epidemic. Let's face it, we're living in a world that's practically designed to distract us. Between social media notifications, email alerts, Slack messages, and that neighbor who always seems to start mowing their lawn the moment you sit down to work, it's a wonder we get anything done at all. Did you know that according to a study by the University of California, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back to a task once you've been interrupted? Every time you check that social media notification or scroll through Twitter for a break, you're essentially throwing away 23 minutes of your day. Multiply that by the number of times you get distracted, and suddenly you're going to realize why your to-do list keeps growing, not shrinking. But don't worry, I am not here to make you feel bad about your wandering attention span, because Lord knows I'm the queen of it. I am here to help you wrangle it back into shape. So let's start understanding your distractions before we start minimizing distractions. It's like being a detective in your own life. You need to identify the culprits before you can catch them. So I want you to take a moment to think about your biggest distractions. Is it the constant ping of your email, the allure of Instagram or TikTok scroll? Or maybe it's just good old-fashioned procrastination disguised as research, right? For me, it's the siren call of my phone. It's always there beckoning with its promise of instant gratification and videos of those Kia Tigers cheerleaders on TikTok. I have no idea why I watched so many of those, but their bored faces while they danced and how they were always busy before they had to jump up and dance just entertained me to some level. I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, here's the thing. Once I recognized this pattern, I could start to do something about it, right? I can leave my phone in my purse for a long time when I start my day until I need my two-factor authentication codes, right? So let's talk a little bit about some strategies for minimizing. Because now that we've identified our distractors, it's time to talk about strategy. My most favorite technique that I've talked about before that's a game changer for me is the Pomodoro Technique. If you take away just one thing from this episode, let it be this. The Pomodoro Technique is like interval training for your brain, and it's revolutionized the way I work. Okay. Here's how it works. You work in focused 25-minute sprints called Pomodoros, followed by short 5-minute breaks. After 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes or so. Why is this so effective? Well, 25 minutes is long enough to make real progress on a task, but short enough to keep you motivated. I can do anything for 25 minutes becomes your new mantra. Plus those regular breaks, they're like a pressure release valve for your brain. Gives you time to get up and walk around. Now, I use a simple manual time timer, but you can use anything, even a kitchen timer shaped like a tomato. That's where actually the name Pomodoro comes from, by the way. It's Italian for tomato. Look, marketing and language lessons all in one episode. Okay, so here's a pro tip though. During your Pomodoro, commit to focusing on one task only. No multitasking allowed. If a distraction pops up, and don't get me wrong, it will, just jot it down quickly, get back to your focus. You can deal with it during your break. Now, I can't tell you how many marketing campaigns, blog posts, podcast script I have cranked out using this method. It's especially great for those tasks that you've been procrastinating on. Just commit to one Pomodoro. And often you're going to find yourself wanting to continue even after that timer goes off sometimes. But I still force myself every now and again to take that break because I need it. Now, while the Pomodoro technique is my go-to, there are other strategies that can complement it very beautifully. Let's talk about the power of do not disturb. Your phone and your computer both have a do not disturb mode. Use it during your Pomodoros or during a special string of time. It's like a little bit of a force field against distractions. Another one that I use a lot is time blocking. This pairs wonderfully with the Pomodoro technique. Divide your day into blocks of time, each dedicated to specific tasks. Then use Pomodoros within those blocks to supercharge your focus. So like I'll do that. Like I was writing web copy the other day for a client's new website. So I had a 2-hour block of time that I broke into Pomodoros, and I got through almost half the website. Can you believe it? But nothing distracted me. Let's talk a little bit about digital decluttering too. You want to regularly clean up your digital space, unsubscribe from some unnecessary emails, organize your desktop, and streamline your social media feeds. A tiny digital space leads to a tidy mind and fewer distractions during your Pomodoros or whatever tool you're using. I will add, I use SaneBox, and that really truly helps me save me a bunch of time because I can go through all of my newsletter emails and things like that all in one fell swoop at the end of the day. Now let's talk about some mindful social media usage. I'm not saying quit cold turkey, but let's be realistic. If you're more intentional, maybe allow yourself to check social media only during certain breaks between Pomodoros or during, before work, during or at lunch, and then the end of the day. Your feed's going to still be there. I promise. You don't have to jump in with it. Now let's talk about your workspace. Whether you're in an office or working from your kitchen table, your environment does play a huge role in your ability to focus. A lot of people had these issues back during 2020 and COVID when they just didn't have space and they were sharing it with everybody else, right? So I want you to designate a workspace. Even if you don't have a home office, try to create a specific area for work. This is going to help your brain associate that space with focus and productivity. I do actually have an office that I go to every day. It is amazing how much more I get done and how my attitude changes when I walk in the door. Then I want you to think about decluttering your physical space. A cluttered desk leads to a cluttered mind, right? Take a few minutes each day to organize your workspace. It's like giving your brain a clean slate to work with. Now, this is easier said than done if you're a horizontal organizer like myself. If you're having issues, check out my friend Celie Colley and her episode that we'll have a link to in the show notes, and check out her paper cleanse course trainings. She is amazing and really helped me clean up my paper mess. Think about using noise canceling headphones, right? These are a lifesaver, especially when working in a noisy environment. Pop these on, play some focus enhancing music. Personally, I'm partial to white noise, if you can believe that, and watch your productivity soar. Sidetracking for a personal story, but when I started my career at Daimler Chrysler, it was Daimler Chrysler. I was in the call center answering phones from customers. Some were happy, some not so happy. And there was something like 200 of us in this room, right? All of us answering the phones, and the white noise that they pumped in really cut down and all that extra noise. And it was very cool result. And I think that's where I got addicted a little bit to white noise. Now, number 4 is to harness the power of plants. Studies have shown that having plants in your workspace can actually increase productivity and reduce stress. Plus, they're pretty to look at when you need a quick mental break. Now, I have a black thumb. So Byron, my husband of a lot of years, take like more than half of my life now, is required to come to my office at least once a week and take care of the plants. Now, let's talk a little bit about the importance of breaks now that we've talked about your work area and some tools that you can do to leverage and increase your focus. Now, I know what you're thinking. Kendra, you've spent this whole time telling us how to focus, and now you're talking about breaks? Yes, I am. Because here's the thing, our brains are not designed for nonstop focus. We need breaks to recharge and maintain productivity. The key is to make your breaks intentional. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media when you feel your focus waning, try a 2-minute movement break. Stand up, stretch, do a few jumping jacks. Or if you're like me and thinks that sounds ridiculous, then get up, walk up and down the hallway or around the house. Just get that blood flowing. Another option is to take a mindfulness minute, 60 seconds, practice some deep breathing or meditation. It's like a power nap for your brain. Personally, I love meditation. If I'm headed into a tough meeting, I always take some deep breaths and meditate just to center myself. I make sure I'm not going to lose my mind in the meeting if it's a tough one. And I will tell you, it really does help. Now, there's also a nature reset. If possible, step outside for a few minutes. Fresh air and natural light can do wonders for your focus and mood. Now, remember that these breaks are not distractions. They're actually strategic pauses that will ultimately boost your productivity. Because if you just push through, you're actually going to get less done. Now, let's talk about some technology that fights technology. Isn't it ironic that we can actually use technology to combat the very distractions it creates? So here are a few apps and tools that might help. Forrest, I've checked this out and I think I've talked about it before. This app actually plants a virtual tree when you start focusing. If you leave the app, the tree dies. Okay. It's guilt tripping at its finest, but hey, it works. Now, Rescue Time. This runs in the background and tracks how you spend your time on your devices. It's like a Fitbit for your productivity. Now, while this app covers more things, you can also use some of the built-in features to really see where your time is going. Now, Freedom. This app allows you to block distracting websites and apps across all your devices. It's like parental controls, but you're both the parent and the child, which I think is sort of cool. Okay, let's wrap up. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all distractions. That's about as realistic as expecting your cat to understand personal boundaries, right? The aim is to minimize distractions and maximize your periods of focus. So I want you to start small. Implement 1 or 2 of these strategies and see how they work for you. Maybe start with setting up do not disturb times or try the Pomodoro Technique for a day where you have no meetings. And hey, why not just start with a Pomodoro right now? Go ahead and set your timer for 25 minutes. Tackle one item on your to-do list. You might be surprised at how much you can accomplish in just one focused sprint. And if that phone rings, ignore it. Remember that in the world of marketing, your ability to focus can be your secret weapon. While others are busy chasing notifications, you'll be able to create killer campaigns, write compelling copy, and strategize your way to success, one Pomodoro at a time. And hey, if you find yourself getting distracted while trying to implement these anti-distraction techniques, meta, right? Don't beat yourself up. Building new habits takes time. Be patient with yourself, stay consistent, and before you know it, you will be a focus machine. So go forth and focus, my friends. Until next time, this is Kendra Corman, reminding you that in the battle against distractions, you've got this. Stay focused, stay productive, and as always, keep your marketing perfectly imperfect.